start with the very basic questions. Which camps did you attend and when?
95 in IIT Powai and in 96 in Ferguson College in Pune. At level 1 and level 2 respectively.
What was your career trajectory before and after attending MTTS?
I was doing BSc. I was in third year BSc when I attended a week-long workshop in mathematics in the winter break in 94. So 94 November sometime. It was like I would say maybe like a mini MTTS kind of thing where we had 4 professors. This was at IIT Powai. And going through that for 1 week, it was so exciting that I was learning stuff and I could ask questions and discuss this whole aspect of discussion of mathematics. We were not getting at least I wasn't getting at my college. I went to Ruparel College for BSc, not as much. And so when I attended for this workshop in mathematics, there were maybe about 20, 25 students, very localized thing, only from students from Bombay. It was so exciting. And I think Professor Inder Rana was doing this. And I remember Professor Akhil Ranjan was there. I forget, maybe Professor Sudhir Ghorpade and Professor Jugal Verma were there. I forget now who all were teaching us. But it was very exciting and I really wanted more of that kind of stuff. And Professor Rana told us about this MTTS program which was going to be held and that we should apply for it. And he had already seen some of the students who were coming for this workshop and he must have marked some of us who were excited, who were interacting. And so when I applied for MTTS, I got in because Professor Rana was involved in MTTS then. And so once in the BSc end of TY BSc when I attended the MTTS in the summer in 95 in IIT Powai, 1 month of that immersion was just amazing. We would just do maths till we were exhausted and then repeat. And they had amazing food. The food at IIT Powai that year was, I don't know what caterers they got, but it was just amazing food. So food and maths, and we're all living in IIT hostels. So the difference in trajectory was that it really made it very clear for me what I wanted to do next, which was to learn with Professor Kumaresan at all costs. And as Ajit said, that we a bunch of us took this IIT Bombay MSc Mathematics exam, and I got in, and now there was a big quandary as such because everyone I knew was telling me, you ought to go to IIT. Who rejects IIT? No one rejects IIT. You are nuts to go to Bombay University with rejecting IIT. Everyone I spoke to said, this is a no-brainer. But in my heart, I did not want to do that because I wanted to go to Bombay University and study with Professor Kumaresan. And so that's what I did. And everyone thought, that's it. What are you going to do after this? But it all worked out well. So it was a big shift in my career because I had found a teacher who I wanted to work with at all costs, and I was able to make that decision. It was a difficult decision because there was a lot of social pressure to all my friends in BSc and all the people some of the professors also from college and everything. Yeah, you got to go to IIT. It's like a no-brainer. But anyway, everything worked out. And in MSc, with Jayanthan, with Ajit, and there were a lot of other people, Jyoti, my spouse now, and many other people. We had a fantastic group. And so we did a lot of mathematics, and then we attended the MTTs in Pune. I think maybe about 8 or 10 of us attended, and it was very exhilarating. And that kind of dynamics which developed, MTTS in BSc, then MSc, and then MTTS in MSc in the first year MSc 96, and then we came back to the MSc second part. The dynamics which developed just carried on. So there was a lot of mathematical energy. Well, I should let Ajit and Jayanthan speak. So it completely changed the trajectory of my mathematical life, and just really was very exciting time, very exciting.
So how do you think MTTS has impacted your teaching career?
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So people we look up to, we try to imitate them. And we all of us have seen Kumarasan sir and adored him, and are great fans of him. So we have been trying through our careers to imitate his style of teaching in various contexts. He's, of course, when I think of my teaching, it comes nowhere near to what he is able to do. And I always marvel whenever I think of what we learned in MSc. How was he able to get through so much syllabus and still kind of do what he was able to do? So yes, in my teaching, I try within whatever limitations. Here, I also have to teach calculus and other classes which have a severe time limit. So it's a little tricky. However, the idea of providing motivation and the key idea. So one of the things which Kumarasan sir emphasized before you would start the theorem is what is the key idea. I mean, you kind of reduce your case, etc., etc., and then there is this important kernel of idea, and how do you think about that, and how do you visualize that? And so as you saw in my talk, a lot of pictures are involved and so on. So I always kind of took that idea of drawing picture, visualizing, let students think and imagine about what the important ideas are. So all throughout, I've tried to do in various different courses, different students. One of the things which really impacted me was the MTTS interactive teaching and the Saturday seminars, which Ajit just mentioned. Now, these seminars were not part of the curriculum. They were done by Kumarasan sir. Those Saturdays were his holidays, but he would come on Saturday mornings, we would all go and we would have those seminars. So it was completely out of the curriculum. We would have about 10, 12 students, and he would give us some topic to prepare, and presenting them was nerve wracking initially. It was, we would come prepared and we would all just get teared down. And Kajit is just talking about his seminar, but that happens to each and every of us. We would go, we thought, yes, I have this down. I have this prepared. I have my notes. I have practiced. And we would go up, and then sir would ask questions, and there we go. It's like, okay, thinking at the board. I find it very difficult to do. And sir, you could see he just goes and he just stands there and thinks and figures it out. I always marvel. I find it happens sometime, but it's hard. Just standing in front of the class and just figuring it out, and all kinds of things. Inverse mapping theorem is saying, and he is just standing at the board and figuring out the proof. That's not a trivial proof. So something like that, which I always try to aspire and think about when I'm teaching. The other thing which I want to mention about both MTTS and the MSc part was the developing of a community. It is very, very important. Mathematics, I feel and experience, is not done in isolation. It is really a community activity, and this collaboration and conversation is very important. So one of the things which Sir did, which was not very obvious, but very subtly, and even that happens in MTTS, is this mathematical community building. And it's an extremely enriching experience for the students to learn in a group, and without having any sort of unpleasantness, but really collaborative. If someone doesn't understand, the other person explains, and they are able to think, and you see the professors and you try to imitate them in trying to understand and communicate the ideas. So this community building is something very important, and through the Saturday seminars, which we did for about 2 years, one of the things which happened was this community building. and which is now part of the, of course, in MTTS you are staying together, so it automatically happens. And that is something which I have tried to do, especially in my higher level courses here and with PhD students. One of the things which I have done at the Graduate Center CUNY, for the last 10, 11 years, we have been running a student seminar where the graduate students have to give talks on various things. And it has been running continuously every week, every semester for the last 11 years. And so many students have really thanked about it helps them develop presentation skills. And the idea is to kind of not to just get through material, but really try to understand. And even like there are some really very big names at graduate center, for example Professor Dennis Sullivan, and he would also come and sit in our student seminar. This was before pre-pandemic. And again, you stop the students, you ask them questions and just make them think, and since it's informal, it's okay. And there is this idea which we have, oh, I'm there at this board stuck, this fear which one has, and this idea that, oh, it's going to be very unpleasant. It can be done in a very mathematically spirited way where there is no unpleasantness and there's a learning experience. And once you develop that environment, everyone feels comfortable in asking questions and answering questions and getting stuck. That is fine. And everyone thinks. So that was what was cultivated through the student seminars, and which now MTTS has a part of that. That they, I think, Sir kind of saw how successful the student seminar, the Saturday seminars were, and he kind of made them part of MTTS. So that is something which I heavily use in my especially PhD student and graduate level teaching about this seminar stuff. So yeah, MTTS teaching and Kumaresan sir's teaching style has really heavily influenced me. Not just influenced me is really an understatement. I really aspire to try to do that every time I teach.
Apart from academics, how do you think MTTS has changed you as a person?
I think it developed uh, at least three qualities, which is integrity, empathy, and helping others. So let me explain. So integrity in the sense that everything around the mathematical interaction is dependent on mathematics. It's not personal. Everything is mathematics focus. There is no question of liking or disliking the students or the other person. That's not doesn't come in whether you understand the mathematical idea or not. That is more important. So there is this huge integrity to mathematical integrity, and that also comes into the personal life as to have integrity to not something which is your selfishness, not integrated to selfishness, but integrated to mathematics or whatever the work is at hand. So that kind of takes out a lot of personal issues. So as you heard, we were all in MSc we were discussing, in MTTS we were discussing. I don't think any time there were issues about ego clashes or something like, oh, you know so much, so you are trying to show off or any such thing. And one of the reasons it was not there was because this integrity to the mathematical ideas. And going along with that is empathy, is that if someone doesn't understand, that you don't just say, okay, I don't care, that you actually try to teach them, and you're putting in efforts to teach them. And we do this in classes, and we do this outside classes, and that kind of empathy, which is also part of the community building, which happens. So that is something which of course spills over in your personal life, and again it flows into this attitude to help other people. And if you in MTTS, you see the teachers, they are helping students during breakfast, during lunch, during dinner. After dinner, they'll go on walks, they'll be helping others, and they are tired, but they are still helping. And so this idea of helping, it's fine if you're tired, but again, you're helping because this integrated to mathematics. So that is something which is very uplifting as a person, and it really helps us and helps our personality and our for personal growth to have this empathy and helping others. So this is all follows naturally once you have your once you have this integrity to something other than your own personal interests. So I think that is what I have taken from MTTS, and it has come into my teaching and many other things outside, inside and outside mathematics.
So how different are MTTS camps now compared to back when you were attending it?
Have very minimal data set. So I only came back once and taught at MTTS, although I have been wanting to do it many times, but because of the teaching schedules in the US, along with family and so on, I'm not able to do it as much. Hopefully, in the future, I will get more opportunities. But when I came back a few years ago and taught, one is that many things which we did in MTTS, which kind of happened spontaneously, have been made into the process. So the process is much more formalized and extremely fine-tuned, which is just amazing. I mean, the amount of things which they have fine-tuned, which was just mainly ad hoc things which are happening before, and the student seminar is just one aspect of it. But the spirit is the same, that you have to you the students are together, you build a community centered on mathematical understanding with lots of communications with each other, with professors, and it's just an enriching mathematical experience. So yes, some things have been more kind of fine-tuned and made into processes, but the spirit and the structure, I think that is pretty much the same. But again, my data set is only one MTTS camp.
What do you think sets MTTS apart from other camps?
I haven't attended many other camps. The difference I can say is, as a graduate student and also later, I attended some graduate students kind of workshops. But those are geared slightly differently. They're for mainly for uh, PhD students, maybe first 2 3 year, when you're in your first 2 or 3 years, and uh, the idea is not as much in-class interaction, but actually develop interaction between other fellow graduate students and also some faculty and so on. So they are kind of slightly different speed. The other program kind of with undergraduates is the research experience for undergraduate programs, which are very popular in the United States. And I led about 4 of them at Columbia, and I actually we also ended up publishing our results and so on. And it was about like something like about a 10-week program in the summer, where the students learn some of the basic things in the first about 3 or 4 weeks, and then start doing some problems, mainly computational in nature. Uh, and those are also based on a lot of interaction, but it's slightly different objective. It's not uh, uh, this idea of understanding a certain subject very well and very deeply. It's actually kind of, in some sense, the other extreme, where you kind of just try to understand minimal of what you want in order to attack your problem. And the other differences in these programs, the students who are selected, they are a little bit more advanced, so it's catering to slightly different students. So I have not attended a program like MTTS, but I see that MTTS has been hugely impactful for students in India.
How was attending MTTS as a student different from attending MTTS as faculty?
I only attended one MTTS as faculty. It's a it's a few steps which takes many years just to going on the other side of the from the chair to the podium. Um, it is different because you're teaching, so your goals are different. You don't have the luxury to sit down and get someone explain to you. And eh, what I found was, as I said, to to stand at the board and think, and really let go of this support of the notes or whatever it is there, and really just be okay if you get stuck, and think along. So it was also a lot more fun to interact with Kumarasan sir differently than when we were a student. Right? Student, you kind of interact and then you go off to your own hostel and be with your friends. But here now the friends are all the fellow MTTS faculty. So that was lot of fun. And the one which I taught, even Jayanthan was there and Ajit was there and sir was there. But it really felt like to me that we are back in our MSc days. But still a little more enhanced because we are not students, because we are faculty. So it was a lot. It was क्या बोलते हैं, double मजा है और कम दाम. It was at the MTTS, all of us were together, sir was there, and we are also not students, so we didn't have to go and do homework at the end. And one of the things I kind of handled it is by not thinking I was MTTS faculty, but also an MTTS student, as a student faculty. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to getting to learn, and that is true. The teacher is the first student, so